Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is Transcend with Bootstrap Dreams. We are here today with Libby, and Libby is going to give us all the goods about getting unstuck in a job that sucks. That's right. We said it.
Just
We
gonna
know
go
it's
right to it.
real. We know it's real. We know you're out there. But first, before we get into the goods, Libby, please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are.
So I'm Libby, and I own Clearview Coaching and Consulting. But in my former life, I've been so much in a job that sucks, and which has led me here. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk to you today. Thanks for having me on. I have two wonderful children. We're navigating the hybrid homeschool, virtual school, in-person school thing that a lot of parents are right now while they work and
Yes.
all those things. And I got a COVID puppy. So we got a puppy during all this time. So we've had
Ooh.
that in the mix too. Her name is Maisie, and she is wonderful, but she's a puppy, so she bites everything and all that. Just staying busy and trying to help people and connect and make the best of the crazy world that we are all living in right now, huh?
Yes, it is. And we are all living in it and going through it, in different ways. Some people like to say, we're
Right.
all in the same boat. No, no, we're not. We're not all in the same boat, yet we are all feeling the effect of it. And right, it's relative. It's just like rich is relative. The effect of this pandemic is relative, and finding out how to get through it in a way that's meaningful, in a way that doesn't cost you a whole lot because it's already costing us so much time and so much energy.
Yes.
It's like, what can we do and how do we do this? And then the job thing, right? Whether you're traditionally employed or an entrepreneur, things are overlapping. Hats have gone from compartmentalized
There are no
positions.
compartments anymore.
It's just this, it's layers. It's just layers upon layers upon layers of living, right? Because like you said before we got on, and I have said before too, hybrid living. And we're just like, how do we do this thing? So, dude, let us know, like, where does this come from for you? You just talked about you've been there in a job,
Yes,
that you weren't pleased with. Talk about that journey that led you here
for
to this
sure.
in Clearview.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of times as women, and this is certainly a generalization, it happens to men, it doesn't happen to all women, but we do what we're expected to do. So whatever that looks like for you in your life, you go to school, you get a degree, you go get a 9 to 5, you work really hard, you do all the things for all the people, and you do
Right?
what you're supposed to do. There's this path that's been set out either by your parents or by society or your partner or whoever that is,
Right?
and we follow that. And it's not that it's a bad path, but
Mhm.
if it's not the path that lights you up and makes you feel like, man, this is what I was made to do, this is what I was put here
Right.
for, then it's not the
Right.
right path. And so it's so easy to get stuck in that. You're trying to build your career, you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to do all those things that people are supposed to do, and then you wake up one day and you look around and you say, is this it for
Is
me?
this
How many
it?
more years do I have to work? I mean, on average, people work about 90,000 hours in their lifetime. And if
Whew.
you think 90,000 hours doing something that either is just like lukewarm or is
Uh-huh.
terrible, worst case scenario, that's not the
Right.
life that we want to live. And so it's so important. And I kind of think of things in a group of three, like recognizing what's happening to you right now.
Mm.
Where are you at right now? Because not everybody needs to change jobs. And, we can get into that too, but it's not that you have to throw out your life and start totally over. That thought alone paralyzes people and stops them from doing anything. You can make
Yes.
tweaks to the career you have and to the job you have to get more into a place that you're using your strengths and that you're growing and that you're feeling like you're adding value. So it's not a all or nothing thing.
Hmm.
So that's really important to acknowledge. And I mean, like you said, I've been there where you pull into the work parking lot. First of all, Sunday is ruined because Monday's coming. And so the Sunday night blues creep into the Sunday afternoon blues, which creep into the Sunday morning blues, and you have this dread of the job that's coming. So
Yeah.
Monday morning, you force yourself out of bed, you get to work, you sit, and this is me, this is speaking from personal experience. You sit in the parking lot and you watch people as they're walking into the building, you check your phone, you check your watch, you wait until the
Yeah.
last possible
The
second
last possible second.
to go in because you just can't do it. And you show up, you do a good job, but it's killing you inside. And
Ooh.
it's not just you, it leaks out into your family and your friends and your community. And there's such a ripple effect when people are in jobs that aren't what they're made to do. You just can't even quantify it. And it impacts your health and everything. It's crazy.
It does. Now let's talk about that because I heard you talk about it. You think about it in 3 steps. So
Yeah.
the first one is recognizing where you are. So
Right.
when you get to that moment, because I've had that moment too, where I've sat in my car in the parking deck and I'm looking at all those blocks to downtown Atlanta that I've got to walk, and it's just like, oh,
Please don't make me
like,
go.
oh, right.
No.
What are some things that may be happening around you before you get to that moment, right? Like, because that moment doesn't usually happen right away.
Sure.
It's a snowball effect
Mhm.
when you get to that moment. So what is that? What are those kind of things that if a person is like, I think I have a job that sucks, or they're like, no, I totally know I
Right.
have a job that sucks, but they aren't really sure,
So
or they're
I
scared
think
to
of it,
admit it. What's happening
yeah,
with them, right?
I think of it kind of, I don't know if you've ever been driving, but I'll be driving along and you see the sign coming up that says right lane ends, merge left. So they give you the first warning sign. And you're driving, or you're watching somebody else in the right lane. There's another sign. And then you see the lines start to get dashed. And so there are all these signs along the way that something is coming up here. And
Mm,
people just drive along and ignore them. And then, whoa, all of a sudden the lane is ending and they're trying to swerve over and get into traffic. And
mm,
so that's kind of like how it is with careers in a way. There are all these small signs that we push down and we tamp down because you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to go and get this job, or you have a big mortgage, and so you feel trapped into this role. And so
mhm.
you just push those things aside, the warning signs of, I don't know, this really isn't for me, or I had this interview and I didn't feel great about it, but I better take it because that's just all there is. There's
Mhm.
so there's so many things that could go into that. There's expectations, there's pressure that we put on ourselves, there's pressure that other people put on us. I talk to clients that say, I have a good job on paper. She is so sweet. Look at her. Hi. Um, I talk to clients that say they have this good job on paper and they feel guilty for even wanting more. And that's one thing that I really work on is you deserve what you want. You are not boxed into, you're not put in this tiny box made by you or somebody else. You deserve to step out and do what you want because the skills and the experience and the perspective and the thoughts that you have are so different than anybody else. And so by not doing that thing, you're holding that back from people that need it. And I am one of the most logical people I know. I would never tell somebody, oh, sure, just throw caution to the wind and go become an underwater basket weaver and don't worry about your mortgage, it'll pay itself. You have to have something that will pay the bills for sure. And so that's part of my process is what skills do you have? What talents do you have? What interests do you have that meet a need that you can get paid for? Because if it's just skills and talents and interests, it's a hobby. And I'm all for hobbies, but hobbies don't pay the bills. And so getting something to figure out where your skills overlap with what you love doing and where the need is really important. And it's really a good starting point for finding that ideal job for you. Ooh, it's on mute, I think.
Yep, trying
There
to,
you go.
you know,
Feels like maybe I
cut
can't
the
hear.
mom part out of the out of the lie. And let us know in the chat if you've been in a job that sucks, right? Do not list your employer, but if you've been in a job that sucks, let us know like that you know what we're talking about. You know what it feels like. You recognize that you're there and ultimately you're ready to do something different, or that you've done something different, right? Because we're in
Mhm.
different stages. And starting with the what, Libby emphasized something that I believe in so deeply, right? And as a project specialist, and people are like, T, how do I do this? And I'm like, whoa, 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 back up, back up. There's no how right now because you haven't yet made a decision on
Yes.
what. So how can we tackle the how when you don't even know what it is that you want to do? Because you
So
don't have a
good.
clear direction of where you want to go. So how we're
Yep.
going to get there is irrelevant at this point, right? So let's talk about that what. So that is so important for you to encourage people. And I'm going to throw it back up on the screen to
Mhm.
identify what you have, your skills, right? What your skills can do, and then what the need is of these
Right.
combined things. Oh, come on, give us more, Libby.
Yeah, so that's such a good point to hit on is we mentioned the three parts. The first one is that recognition of where you're at. And like I said, you might not be in a spot where you need a totally different job. So I
Right?
have a tool that I offer that's it's a circle and it has 8 different dimensions. And so you assess your current role, or if you're unemployed, your last role, and you say, how am I feeling 1 to 10 scale or 0 to 10 scale on things like growth opportunities, culture, leadership, pay, because that's a real thing, um, commute, even that can be. So there's 8 categories that you assess yourself on. And then that can give you some perspective. Looking at those 8, you say, which of these is really important to me right now? And it varies because, for example, when I was younger in my career, I had a great boss, I had a good salary, the commute was fine, but there was zero opportunity for growth. It just wasn't
Mm,
an option in my department. And so at that stage in my life, that was one of the most important things to me because I wanted to move ahead. And so I said, this job isn't going to work for me for much longer.
yeah.
Whereas you may say, all these other things are good or tolerable, but the salary is lacking or the commute is
Hmm.
really bothersome.
Oh,
And
yeah.
maybe there are things that you can do in your current role. Maybe, well, I mean, now we're all remote, but if the commute's bothersome, you can negotiate 1 or 2 days at home a week. Or if the
Right.
salary is bothersome, then you negotiate that. Even if it's not more pay, maybe you get more vacation days, or maybe
Yeah.
whatever that looks like for you. But people, I think people sometimes get trapped into the, oh my gosh, I have to start all over. You really don't. Sometimes you
Hmm.
do if that's the
Right.
situation, but figuring out where you're at using that career wheel. And I'll share how to get that later. It's free, so I'm happy to share it with anyone that's interested in that self assessment. And then
Yeah.
once you know where you're at and what's important to you, like I mentioned, the growth opportunity part, you can
Uh-huh.
say, okay, given these things, now what do I want to do? How do I create the action steps? And that's that second piece that I really work on with my clients is the strategy of, all right, you've identified this thing, you're here, there's a gap. We have to close that. How are we going to do that? And so we dig really
Yeah.
into that too.
That
Yeah.
sounds so good. Like it really goes back to getting to the root of it, because a lot of times when you're unhappy in a job, you end up just applying for all kinds of jobs, right? It's not a
Yeah.
specific job search at all. It's not a strategic move. You just want out. And you don't care what
Mhm.
you're hopping into, only to find yourself going through this sick cycle again
Yes.
and
Out of the
again
pan into the fire. Yep.
and again, right? So identifying what is meaningful. What do you want out of your work? Right? I want to just say a job, because ultimately we all are fulfilling some type of job. It's just categorized differently. But what
Sure.
meaningful work do you want to be a part of? What do you want to contribute your time, your soul, your mind, your spirit, your body to every day? And I think in all areas of our lives, we should be thinking about that consciously so that we're
Absolutely.
more driven towards things that are aligned with what we believe, and not just things that we should be doing because, oh, we need something, or we
Yes.
want something, or we want people to perceive a certain thing about us
Right.
as well. Because that's a whole nother thing. How many people are in great paying jobs, have the positions and titles, but are absolutely miserable,
Miserable.
just miserable, right? And so we're not saying don't aspire for whatever
For
your
sure.
level of success is. What we're saying is make sure you have value in doing it. Make sure that it's a mutually beneficial trade off, because time is our greatest asset and we don't get it back.
You're right.
Once it's
Well,
expense. We don't get it back. Go ahead, Libby.
Yeah, and you said in the beginning when we were talking about homeschooling, you said we're all in different boats, and that's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to get caught in that comparison trap of, oh well, this person is my same age and they're a VP or they're a whatever title is relevant
Mm-hmm.
to you. How come I'm not there? And
Mm-hmm.
we compare ourselves when our journeys are totally different. I don't care if they're the
Yeah.
same age from your hometown, best friends with your parents, I don't care. Your journey is different than theirs. And so
Right.
we get caught there, and that leads to the I better stay on this path so I can compete with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it really bleeds over also into our self confidence because we say, what's wrong with
Yes.
me that I'm not there? When it's usually nothing wrong with you. There's
Mm.
nothing wrong with you. And so that's the third piece. It's such a great segue is the mindset piece of how am I going to have enough confidence to do this thing and to
Yeah.
know that I don't have to compare myself to this person or that role or
Yes.
by this age I should be. How many times you said to yourself, well, I should be this, that, or the other? That's
Right.
got to go because you have too much to bring to this world to be caught in the should be, could be, would be trap that is so easy to get into.
Yes, it is. So, mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset is something that some people might be saying, oh, no, not mindset again.
It's kind of
and then
overplayed. I hate to say it,
and
but
then other people may be saying, huh, I never thought about it being an internal factor because sometimes personalities point to everything outside of self as the problem. So when we talk about mindset, let me know from your frame of work, what do you mean?
so I will see clients on paper that are just killer. I had a woman that said, I want this specific position. We mapped out this plan. It was like, yes, 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 ready. And then I followed up with her and she said, I haven't done the couple steps we'd laid out. And I said, oh, tell me about that. And it really, after some discussion, some digging, she was afraid of what would happen if she were to go out on that limb, so to speak. From my standpoint, she was 150% qualified for the path that she wanted to take. And anyone looking at that would have seen that. But we get so in our heads that I'm afraid to make this change. What if I don't know what I'm talking about? Are people going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing, even though you really do know what you're doing? And
Mm-hmm.
we second guess ourselves and we listen to that inner critic voice, that little negative thought that says you'll never be good enough to do that, or you're selfish for wanting this for yourself. And there's
Yeah.
so many thoughts that we are our own worst enemy in so many of those respects because we do
So
it to
many
ourselves.
ways.
We shoot ourselves in the foot before we even start. And I'm saying this as much to me as anybody else because
Yeah.
it is there, and that voice plays in our mind and says you're not enough, you're not talented, whatever your particular Achilles heel is. And so something that you can do, a real quick tip that I love, and it sounds weird, so stick with me for just a second.
Let's do it.
When you hear this voice, so actually picture this voice in your mind. So let's say you want this job and it says you're not good enough for that. So picture the voice in your mind that's saying you're not good enough and actually put some physical characteristics around it. Is it a man's voice? Is it a woman's voice? Is it a old person's
Mm.
voice? Is it scratchy? I mean, really describe it. And this is kind of where it gets a little weird, but describe it and put some physical characteristics around that voice because it's important to differentiate you from that voice. This is something you're dealing with. This is not you, this thought pattern or this train of thought. So once you do that with the you're not good enough for this job, then actually draw it out. So just, grab a sticky note and draw out say it's an old woman's voice that you hear, maybe like your mother's
Uh-huh.
voice. Does anybody ever hear their
Uh-huh.
mother's critical voice in their mind? So you draw it out on a piece of paper and then actually do something with this thing. So one woman that I was working with, she was on her second interview, like very close to the end of the process. She was feeling so good about it. And she said, I'm just nervous. I know I'm not good enough. I'm not, all those things. So she drew out this voice on the piece of paper and she said, it's just like a pinched face and a mean face. And it was something like this. Whoops, I did the wrong way. She drew
Mm.
out this little silly sticky note. She took a piece of tape and put it over the mouth of the sticky note. And then when she had her
Ooh.
phone call, she had that sticky note with the tape over the mouth saying, like, as a visual reminder of, I will not listen to this voice tell me I'm not good enough. So draw it
Nice.
out and then do something with it. Like,
Then
do
shut it up.
yeah, it's exactly
That's
it.
what I
Because you
hear.
can get rid of it, but you can silence it. You can quiet it. And
Yes.
she said it sounds crazy, and I feel like a little crazy for talking about it this way, but she said it worked. The tape over the mouth on that sticky note reminded me, was enough of a visual cue to say, that is not me. I am good enough. I am strong
Mm.
enough. I'm smart enough. And she went on and crushed it. So
Yes.
I tell you, the next time you have that voice in your mind, try that little trick and it helps because you're separating it from yourself. So knowing
Yes.
your worth and knowing that you deserve this and people deserve what you have to offer, they need what you have to offer is so, so critical.
And we've got some good feedback. I wish it would pop up my Be Live, and it may be user errors not showing it where I can put it on the screen, Libby. I don't know if you can see it, but
I
we've
can't.
got, so hi, Bailey, Monique, Honey, Heather. Thank you guys for joining us today. They are saying, yes, mind drama. It is a real thing. They are acknowledging that
Yes.
how interesting your concept and your activity, if you will, right?
Yeah.
To make the voice real, make the voice tangible so that you can take action on how you want to
Yeah.
respond to the voice, right? So they're
Exactly.
saying that is an awesome tip. They're saying it
Yeah.
is so
Do it.
powerful, it's a visual, and they're going to try it. And look, my mom hopped on. Hey, mama. My mom said she loves that analogy. We do, when we can make things that could be theoretical, when we can really make it tangible, it does shift how we respond to it, right?
Yes.
And then we become more proactive instead
Yeah.
of reactive. It's the reactive response that gets us in trouble. It's the
It
reactive
does.
response
It does.
that causes us, angst and anxiety and fear, because anger ultimately, that's what it's rooted in. You're scared. You don't know that you're scared
That's
because you're not
right.
acknowledging being scared. But
Yep.
you're
It's that
angry because
doubt.
you feel out of control, right? You're doubting
Yes.
what the positive. You're not thinking clearly, you're not taking a moment to breathe, and you're not thinking positively. So that those 3 steps, in case you missed them, I'm going to say it again. So when you hear the drama in your head, it's on the screen too, put a physical characteristic around it, right? That voice. Is
Yes.
it a man? Is it a woman? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it your ex? Is it your child? Is it, who is it?
Yes.
A
Yes.
former boss? Who is this voice? And then
Right.
once you hear that voice, Libby said, draw it out, right? Hold up that sticky note again, Libby.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Right
have to,
here.
we're not asking you to be,
I am not an
a
artist.
super artist. We're just saying make it tangible so that you can deal with that voice, respond to that voice. And then I simply said, Libby said it politically correct. I said, shut it up.
Shut it up.
Silence
Lock it.
it, right? We're not saying be violent. We're not saying get, don't pick up the phone and call them about it. This is between you and you.
Yes.
This is between
Absolutely.
you and your internal dialogue, your internal perception. Deal with yourself, face yourself, and acknowledge that you have given your power away for far too long to this
It is
voice,
time to take it
and they
back.
no longer own it. It's time to take it back. So, oh, I love it.
Yes. I love it. It totally works.
I
It totally works. I
love
promise
it. It
you.
totally
Yeah.
works. All right. Oh, look. Oh, your friends are hopping on. Can't wait to put this into action. Hey, ladies. Hi,
Yes.
Tiffany. Hi, TaJuanna. Yes. I mean, listen, this is stuff that people are really dealing with. And then again, even at home, right? This hybrid living, working from some people have the opportunity to go out. And I say opportunity because, again, it's all relative. Some people are like, I want to get out. And so you have people that are going out for work. And then some people are like, I don't want to go. And then
Right.
you have people who are at home that are like, but I wish I had to go. It's always something.
Yep.
So looking at you, where you are, right, or looking at self and where we are right now and analyzing what the complexities in our lives and coming up with just simple ways to navigate it. So when we talk about getting unstuck, let's transition into that a little bit. How do we get unstuck if we're in a job, a situation, or something that sucks?
Yeah. So that first thing is figuring out where you're at right now. So if when I mentioned that career wheel, and I'll share
Yeah.
how to get that, but if it's, say, your boss, right? That's the piece. Your leadership sucks. When you say my boss sucks, what does that mean? Get specific
Mm-hmm.
about it. Do they not give you stretch assignments? Do they not listen to your feedback? What specifically? Narrow in. Take some time, and it's not, you're not going to do this in 2 seconds. Take some time and really figure out your current state, where you're at right now with those 8 components. And then as you dig into each one of those 8, what about it is not working for you right now? Because like you said earlier, so often we say, okay, I got to get out of here no matter what. And then we jump right from one crappy situation to the next one because we go with what we're familiar with. And so you're
Right.
going to be inclined to fall into that same thing. And then it's worse off than you were before. So figuring out where you're at right now, and then thinking about, okay, what is most important to me at this time? Like I mentioned, the growth opportunity was the most important thing for me at the moment. It
Mm-hmm.
changes as you go through life and as your family is in different stages of their life and all those things. And so thinking about, here's where I'm at right now. And the
Mm-hmm.
career wheel worksheet really helps take some of the emotion out of it because you're writing it down, you're being logical, you're listing it out. And
Mm-hmm.
then say, all right, looking at what I love to do, looking at what I'm good at, sometimes they're
Mm-hmm.
different things. You could be
Mm-hmm.
really good at numbers, but not love it. So then
Yeah.
considering what you love and why do you love it? Like,
Ooh.
and this sounds bad, but I love being alone because digging into that, I love time to reflect and I love time to
Mm-hmm.
think and I love time to plan. So those skills,
Yeah.
taking the I like being alone and listing out the things underneath it, that's going to tell me what skills I have and what talents and passions I have. Think about what you
Yeah.
love, think about what skills you have, and then think about what needs there are. Check LinkedIn,
Yeah.
look at publications, check your industry, talk with other people. And when you find where those things match up, that's the sweet spot for you.
Yes, it is. That is
And then plan
so
that
rich.
strategy. Yeah, just map it out. How am I going to get there? And you just work the plan and
Just work
persevere,
the
even
plan.
when it feels hard, because it does feel hard. And it's okay to
It,
admit that it's hard.
thank you. That
Yeah.
is
We
right.
never want to say it out loud, but it sucks sometimes.
It
And you just get up
does.
and do it again, and it's going to be okay.
Yep. And the sooner you say it sucks, this is what I found. The
Yeah.
sooner I say something sucks, and it's not about, being negative and putting it out in the air, it's really acknowledging it, right? I can't
Yes.
say I need help if I don't want to admit I need help. I can't go
True.
and ask for help or seek support if I'm not willing to admit that I need it. So for me, I find the sooner I say this sucks, the sooner I can
Yeah.
take action on it, right? The
Uh-huh.
sooner I can assess, where am I? What is it that I really need to focus on?
Right.
Who can I go to, or what can I do to shift this from sucks to right, betterment? And then
Right.
what's the natural next step to move through it? So yes, acknowledging it is so important. So we like to keep these conversations short. I feel like I could talk to you all
Yeah.
night, Libby.
Oh, you're such a joy. You're so like full of confidence and happiness, and I just love talking to you as well. So,
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Please let us know, how can we find you? Tell us
yeah.
your business name and what people have can look forward to when encountering your information as well. I know you've got something good that they can access.
Yes. So my company is Clearview Coaching and Consulting, and my website is clearviewcc.org. So you can go there. That has a link to contact me. And the career wheel worksheet that I mentioned is a freebie up for you. So that's at subscribepage.com/career wheel worksheet. One word, obviously.
Give me that site one more time. I'm going to pop
Yep.
it up here in our
Subscribe
Clearview.
page. Oh, clearviewcc.org. That's my website.
cc.org. Okay.
Yep. And then for that worksheet, if you want to get started on that career wheel worksheet to figure out where you're at right now, it's available totally free. at subscribepage.com/career wheel worksheet. So snap that up.
Subscribepage.com/career wheel
Wheel
worksheet.
worksheet. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
And we're going to make sure to go back and put it in the drop it in the comments, Libby, so
Yeah,
that way
I will.
anybody catching the replay or whatnot can get it if
For
they
sure.
don't see it, or if I happen to have a typo or something. Human.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
No, it
We're
looks
doing
great.
this as we go. It is not scripted, folks. These conversations are not at all scripted. We are having real life conversations. And Libby, thank you so much for sharing these tips, these mindset moments and experiences, things that we can do to literally better our lives, better ourselves, so that we can show up so much better for the people around us and for those that we really intend to help, whether you are employed traditionally or whether you are on an entrepreneurial journey. There are things, right? You deserve it. All the stuff, tangible and intangible, you deserve it. Thank you so much. And for all of you, yes. And for all of you who have hopped on and commented, yes. Come on, Libby.
I love it.
Thank y'all so much. So we will see you next week. We usually do these on Thursday, but Libby was so gracious to meet with me on today, Wednesday. Next week, we'll be live on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, to talk about getting up, showing up, and lessons for a better you with Carol Edwards. Join me next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Bootstrap Dreams, better business. Join our Facebook group, Results Driven Strategies for Entrepreneurs and Creatives. Give us a thumbs up on the Facebook page. Libby, you've got a Facebook page?
I am more active on LinkedIn. So I'm on Facebook. Check me out on LinkedIn. Just Libby Simon, Simon, and let's connect and stay in touch. I love it.
And you're also on Instagram.
Yes.
I do know. So
I need to step it up there too, but
me too. I'm a LinkedIn girl myself. I think that's why we
got it.
All right, good people. Thank y'all so much and have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Bye, Libby.